Hi, my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is Universal Mourning Mother. There's a card I have in my tarot deck. You may know it very well, called the Empress. It's one of the major arcana, one of the 22 major life lessons. And I typically use the Mythic Tarot to read. And in my deck, this card is the card of Demeter. So we're talking about, this can be Ceres in other cultures, Annapurna in Hindu philosophy, this concept of a harvest mother. And in the Mythic Tarot, it talks about how this harvest mother, this one that causes spring to bloom forth, is also the mourning mother because she is grieving because her daughter was abducted by Hades. This is the high priestess. She gets abducted by Hades into the underworld, and Demeter caused the first winter. She let everything die when she lost her daughter. She was so terribly sad. This storyline that I'm giving you around Demeter is seen in other cultures. We see it in Hinduism, where Parvati, the mother of Ganeshji, and Lord Shiva are in a blissful union, and Lord Shiva understands that the world is Maya. It is illusion. I totally get it, Shiva. I totally get it. It's a dream. It's a hologram. The only real thing that has ever been is unification, love. The rest is the stories we tell and the messes we make as we pretend that we can separate. But there's this component where Lord Shiva doesn't really understand why she spends so much time caring for feeding humans, Parvati. So she withdraws. She withdraws from nurturing Earth and nurturing humans and nurturing Shiva and being by his side. And he feels deeply saddened at the loss of his love, of his nurturing love. And she comes back as Annapurna and gives and feeds the people, and he comes with beggar's bowl in humble supplication to recognize the value of nurturing and being nurtured. And all of this has been in my heart and mind. I mean, it often is, because my mom was a lot of things, but one of the things she abundantly was to me was like Demeter, like Ceres, like Annapurna. She was a harvest mother. She gave abundant love, time, and attention, the only thing a child ever truly needs. And so she was also a mourning mother because her husband drowned in the Brazos River and was never found right after I was born. She died. Mom died in a car accident, when I was 24. I'm now 46. And this past week, I watched my beloved cousin have to bury her sister. My beloved aunt have to bury her daughter after burying her mother and her father and her sister. My beloved second cousins have to bury their mother. And they are where my brother and sister and I were. I was 24 when Mom died. They're in their 20s and, just young. Nikki may be early 30s, but just young. And they're faced with this impossible task to place their eyes upon their mother in a casket, to have to release the grace of the nurturer. And now that it's been over 2 decades since I saw my own dead mother, since I saw my mother in the hospital, swollen, jaundiced, tubes coming out of her brain, bleeding on the brain, her ear lacerated from the car accident, and then dead, then her dead body, which is the tragedy that some souls are asked to face, is to look upon death. And it's also the grace, because there's no other time you will look upon a face and understand that the animating force is gone. And that, every time I look at a dead body, I think, well, that's just a shell, isn't it? That's just a shell of what was there, and energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and is personality and energetic dynamic, and what comes of that. But I want to speak about the universal mourning mother, because sometimes, as somebody who's been chronically depressed from burying, I don't know, 51 people, 52. It's hard to track. 55. What are we at now, everybody? As somebody who just spends her life burying people, and because of that has tremendous grief that usually doesn't get processed because I got to get back to work, because that's just life, and also just how I deal with it. It's just like, let's just not deal with it, actually. So I'm working on that. I'm at this place where life is asking me again, are you going to let the grief out of the vault? And I do, intermittently here and there. But I was thinking about my own mother, her soul in this evolved place of, I don't know, from a soul perspective, to me, it's all multi-locality and the capacity to be anywhere you would have yourself be. You actually, I do believe my mom can visit all three of us, my brother, my sister, and I, as well as her grandkids, all at the same time, because time is an illusion, so is space. But I wonder if she mourns, if she grieves, looking down on me, seeing how I struggle. She's like, I'm right here. And you're struggling. And I'm right here. And I know she's there. I've had endless conversations, interactions, magical, mystical attractions from the unseen realm. Being somebody that's been married to Hades or Yama or Anubis, been married to death or the gateway to death my whole life, I'm graced in this place to witness the face of the soul and how much it is around you. And then I just wonder if she ever looks down on me and just sees me struggling, because I have high expectations of myself, and not just on a physical, mental, emotional level, but most importantly, always most importantly, on a spiritual level. What is the content of my character each day? Who am I being? And I often will go home and lament any choice I made that was not the most loving like my mother, nurturing like my mother, because it is my aim to be more like her every day, to ensure that her grace is kept in this place. And so, I don't know. For me, it's like sometimes one of the ways I can pull myself out of the doldrums or out of my own depression is to, I never want to cause suffering to others. It's part of my spiritual duty is to shake more love and more joy in the web. And that's why I withdraw when I'm depressed. I just withdraw a lot, But when I have joy, I do my best to share it and to offer it and to give medicine in that vein. And I always want to step more towards it, because I want my parents to look down at me, even if they've incarned in new bodies, for their oversoul or that part of them that has a capacity to see into the many multiverses and paradigms in which I be, to, in their own hearts, be overjoyed at the joy I'm holding, And so what duty do I have to that, to keeping my parents' joy alive, even though they're not in their flesh costume, to know that they are still with me, which I know well. But to let them look upon me and see that I have joy, which would bring them joy, of course, because they love me so deeply, so completely. My father got such a short amount of time with me, but he loved me completely. Those are the stories I hear of him. So there's this concept of, often I will take concepts that help me to reframe or shift a paradigm. One of the ways that I quit smoking historically was to tell myself, because the soul loves to be free, as I would say, you're free. You can smoke a carton every day if you want, but you got to eat a whole ashtray. So you can have 100 cigarettes right now if you want, but first eat that ashtray. And the thought of it is like, ugh. And it's like, oh, this is a gross habit. And that's how I quit smoking. I would just always give myself unlimited permission. It's not that you're not free, child. You're free to do whatever you want. You have free will. But here's the rule I made for you. And it's like, ugh, gross habit. No thanks. I think too, though, about these universal mothers we've had here at Earth School. There have been some sacred, holy, nurturing women that have come in and have offered this, not necessarily all of them I agree with all their philosophies, but like Mother Teresa would surround herself with lepers, and I think about how humans treated each other during the paradigm of COVID. Were you hugging people? Or were you like, I don't want to get COVID? And that's fine. You do you. I'm not judging it. I'm just thinking about the tremendous faith and the tremendous belief in the tremendous unconditional love and nurturing nature you would have to come from to have somebody that has something completely contagious and to trust that it is safe for you to serve because you serve divinity, you serve something much larger than what it is you're looking at and what it is you see. So this universal mother, I think, mourns this concept of a universal mother. Some of you didn't have a very nurturing, loving, attentive mother like me. You had perhaps an abusive, alcoholic, narcissistic, avoidant, whatever. I mean, there's so many different paradigms. And perhaps you were being the mother. Perhaps you were being the adult for your childlike parent. And I wouldn't wish something different for you because it certainly caused you to be the exact being you came to be. But I am sorry for the challenge that must have been or may still be for you. There is a concept of a universal mother here, and I think she weeps. I think she weeps at the thought of her children, because when I connect with that energy of the universal mother, I just want to cry for all the children of Earth School. And the reason it makes me want to mourn is not because any of the children at Earth School are getting it wrong, not because you have failed, not because you're not enough, but because you've always been all that in a bag of chips, because you've always been completely and utterly lovable, because you've always been so easy to love, and you've lost sight of your truth that you are love and form. And it's so sad. I think it's so sad when I see two-leggeds out there suffering with the poison they've been handed and handing more poison in this paradigm and in the timeline. And I just think, when you really, really, really love yourself, really, truly, you will no longer judge others. Judging others is indicative of you judging yourself. Trust. I know this lesson well. And so it is my daily aim is to never judge. Like, what do I know? What do I know about you, your soul, what you're supposed to be doing? Like, okay, let me not be a little dictator down here of like, you should be like this. Like, I don't know what you should be like. I have no idea what your soul is trying to garner. I do know that I'm the steward of my soul. So let me, steward it and not be judging, not be attacking, not be separating. Let me be unifying. Let me remember subatomically we are one, brother, sister, they, mother, father, uncle, cousin. Let me remember that we're one. And in that remembering, as I remember that I'm one with everything that I look at, I want to weep. Because so much of what I look at is suffering with such a simple thing. And it is loving the self. The trials, the tribulations we face for our physical, mental, emotional, etheric, spiritual health is loving the self. It's time to show more love. It's time to be more love. It's time to show more love to the self. Be more loving for our own mental, emotional, physical, etheric, spiritual health. Being evolved does not mean you don't get angry. It does not mean you don't want to flip over tables it doesn't mean that. It means that you understand that when there is a breakdown in the paradigm, it is because you yourself are choosing to be divisive, separatist, or judgmental. And it's not about the other person needing to change or needing to come your way. It's about you needing to remember that you're made of love and you're completely lovable each and every day. You lack nothing. You're perfect, whole, and complete just as you be. There's nothing you need to gain or garner to be loved by me. I'll tell you that now. Each day, it is my prayer to move closer to unconditional love. And unconditional love means being able to look at a lot of things and love people even where they feel pinned. And the question is, can I let myself also feel the grief I feel as I watch each and every one of us, sometimes myself included, not love ourselves when we're so beautiful, so remarkable. There's so much to love there. May you know and express the truth that you are love. You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine on YouTube, like and comment there. Blessed be.